Oh, everybody welcome. There's a psycho, let's get a hell, huh? Everybody welcome. There's a psycho, let's get a... Okay, guys, so today is Wednesday. I meant to do a video yesterday, but I was really, my sleep is really had been unpredictable, so I did not end up doing a video. I did all the research, however. So, I'm gonna start with that. Nothing going on really. And Corina as well. She on Tuesday she had to take care of something related to her family, but she will be back tomorrow because I told her actually since I have kind of started the video pretty much, and it's so detailed that I told her I want to do this today, and then tomorrow, ideally earlier on in the day, we will go do something more, quote unquote, big picture. You know how so that it's not so tethered to the news, like kind of like how I am. Okay. All right. So let's do it here. I really need the lip liner the most. So. All right. Let me pause and get started. So yesterday, I prepared a whole thing about Marco Rubio and the meeting in Saudi Arabia. And we had seen that, of course, the week before. Was it the week before even? Things move so fast. Um, Trump is going to have. So first, it's the joke of JD Vance going to Paris. I'm sorry, to wasn't going to Paris, going to Europe and on the Munich Security Conference, and then saying all these awful things. And then they planned for a meeting in Saudi Arabia with Putin, the Russians. Not Putin wasn't there directly, but the Russians and the Americans only to discuss Ukraine. And then Europe had their own meeting, and they decided to raise up around their goal is 700 billion euros for arms to support Ukraine. And then we have now, this is not surprising to anyone, right? To us, definitely not. And then, so what happened since yesterday, since I didn't do the video, this already is what came out after, like in the evening, Trump did some sort of speech, attacking Zelensky. And we know, guys, he was impeached. The first impeachment was because he was putting pressure or essentially extorting Zelensky, right? We know that. But what I wanted to discuss, hold on, I was just changing the light. Oh, okay. What I wanted to discuss today is something else. Well, not something else. It's just this this shift, right? That is not really a shift, but it's a sense of urgency. So I was walking home today from I went to get groceries, and of course I was upset. It's upset the moment you turned it on is upsetting, but then you realize like that the reason why is why is there this rapid shift? We know that that's Trump has always been doing what Putin wanted, but if you think about it, what he really is doing is uh, vocalizing what matters to Putin, right? And we know that Russia is desperate, that they're not doing well economically or in anything else really, even with this war. And so they need this war to be resolved so they stop losing. Okay. And of course, Trump then goes back to attacking Zelensky, which he has been doing from the very beginning, right? Since his last presidency and all that. So when I was walking back here, guys, back home today in this afternoon, I was just like feeling this sense of like that in a way I got this message that as awful as it is, that this is the full picture of their goals, right? And that now more than ever, I think, even before in his first term, he is doing exactly Russia's bidding. I mean, all of the talking points, everything aligns so perfectly with right with what one wants. And I don't know, I don't think that the war started right when Biden was in power. So really, when you think about it, right, it's really it's one thing. It's bad enough before, and now we have this situation. So what I understood from Spirit really was that that he gives nobody doubt what he's doing. And I do think he's going to be stopped. Now, actually, I was having a conversation with someone today, and she asked me about it. And I thought it was really interesting that the way, so I organized it in such a way that I showed, the question was, I presented as two possibilities. One was, on the one hand, will Trump continue in power as he is now, or will something happen, and will he be removed? Because I think in some ways sometimes it's good to have the option, right? Of like, well, what if things continue as they have continued? Why? We have to kind of acknowledge that possibility as I'm asking the question. But what was really interesting, so then what I saw is that I saw this image of the continental, like Trump on top of the US, like continental, right? And then Europe, right? And then I saw this image of in the middle, like Putin is over there, right? In Russia, whatever. And then I see that he was sending signals to Trump, but meaning sort of like at Trump. Because the question, the first discussion really was, is Europe going to defend Ukraine, or is it I think it was something like that. Is what's happening with Ukraine? Is Europe going to be able to defend Ukraine, or what? Something like that. Okay, I honestly, guys, I just because I saw this image, I don't remember exactly if it was Ukraine or if Trump was going to be taken down. But the point is that I saw this image of Trump here, and then the Russians, now that Mark Rutte observing them sending these signals across. In other words, they need the US because they're falling apart. They need the money, they need the support, they need everything. Then I see Mark Rutte lifting his hand and like blocking, but there's a like putting up a wall, but I think it's also not just a wall, but it's some sort of like preventive, it prevents Russians from crossing over to the US and taking the money and the power from the US. And then he pulls from under, it's like under a basement is Joe Biden. He pulls Joe Biden out from hiding. I don't think Joe Biden's hiding right now, but that's what I saw. So in other words, the image of whether Trump was going to stay or he was going to go, it definitely looks like he's going to go. And in some ways, that has to do with the situation in Europe, right? Because I think also this person was asking me why, how come did there's something about like how come Europe didn't move earlier? And I was telling her that, of course, they didn't realize how bad the situation was. But then once Russians and Trump did the election situation, they realized how exceptionally urgent it is. And that's the kind of like the direction, I guess, that I saw things going. Okay. Now, so but so I'm sharing you all of this before I even do this question or the situation, just so you have an idea of where I'm coming from. So let me go back here and ask again. Um, so I'm gonna ask spirit here. Let me do okay, we'll do the protections. I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I'd like to ask that information come only from the highest sources that create the good and all the good. So okay. All right. So So, Spirit, when I was walking today, I got this strong message that they have to act completely, not they have to, but this acting on behalf of Russia exposes to everyone who their bosses really are, right? So, the question are the powers that be, let's just say whoever in the US government or in Europe or NATO, are they going to do something about it? Are they just going to let it pass? Because really, what we saw starting yesterday with Mark Rubio and now with Trump is that they're shifting. They're attacking Europe openly, and they are harming our allies. And they have started out with the whole Greenland thing, with the Canada situation, and now they are aligning with Russia and supporting Russia against NATO countries, pretty much. Okay, so the question um, is are we just going to be here? Nobody's going to. Is somebody going to do something about it? Just like what happened in World War II. or not, or are we just going to be left here to our own devices? And by that I mean, is NATO or Europe going to intervene or not, or what, or something here, or what's going to happen? So, okay, so what I saw here is that in a way, yes, I see NATO acting because, and I still feel like it's not going to come from inside. And how it's going to happen is going to be that the election situation will be exposed. What happened will be exposed. And this will lead to the collapse of this administration. That's my sense. Now, so then I asked today, I asked also when I was talking to this person today, I asked about Kamala. So show me the two possibilities. One is um, Kamala staying, and the other is, oh, I'm sorry, no, go backwards. Trump staying in power and Kamala coming back. Okay. So I saw this. So which one is the most likely? Like I said before earlier, is one of him staying or could he be removed somehow and whether so when I asked this, I saw that that oh okay, so I had this date. I asked the date of March 10th. And I asked about March 10th. What is the situation now? Trump in power and Kamala not in power versus then on March 10th. Will anything have changed? So then I saw that so in other words, could Trump just stay in power on one hand, or could he be somehow leave? So I saw this image of for today, the today version, right, where Trump is in power, that Trump is like putting together this window, those like kind of glass, those I forgot the cut out glass that they have in churches, are putting his glass together, meaning that his administration was a facade, right? Just a window, and that it's put together by these puzzle pieces, and the puzzle pieces are very flimsy, like they don't stay in place today. They're still putting it together. That's why they have all this gaslighting and saying, "Oh, I'm the only one who knows what the law is," right? Then, when I go to March 10th, I see that Mark Rutte has pulled something, pushed something. I don't think it's a string, but it just has done something that the puzzle that was on the window fell apart. And Trump is down looking at on the floor trying to put the puzzles back together. But it suggests to me that Mark Rutte ends up exposing the pieces of the puzzle, right? And so exposing what he's done, and therefore the whole thing collapses, and Trump is sort of like left to pick up the pieces. But it does suggest that, so in other words, by March 10th, that some big things will have been exposed. That either I don't know that Trump may still be in power, but or like completely. It doesn't make sense. I don't think it wasn't clear exactly if he's still in power or not. But the bottom line is that, like the truth has been exposed about what happened in the election by then. So the good news, if there is such a thing, is that it does feel as if we're close, okay, to something uh coming out and the whole administration collapsing, because again, they are on a timeline. What is the timeline? I mean, we could say, well, there is a project 2025, which they're sort of doing, but the sense of urgency for them really is to meet the goals of Russia, and that is to end the war and give them everything, including, right, that it has come out since, of course, that Putin wants Ukraine for himself. He's giving nothing, and they want us to give us, meaning Trump's whatever, to give them everything. So it's interesting, right? Like it ended us like, it was like really. So any messages for now? Messages for now about this? Tell me about Zelensky and Trump. Who's gonna? No, I think without a doubt Zelensky will outlive Trump for sure. And I still see Ukraine winning, honestly, because again, now we see that there is a massive support, even if we are not 100% with them, right? Because they have trash and power, but it really feels to me like I see Trump just kind of like embarrassed in the thing coming out. So that's what I see. Okay. All right. So, okay. So I think, guys, I may actually release this video now and then do the other research later. Okay, um because there's so much really to discuss. I did a lot of picked a lot of the news items, but what I'm going to start doing is to basically just publish these videos earlier, like because it doesn't make sense. I'm a kind of like a perfectionist and I want to do everything, and then what happens is the videos end up getting out later and later. So let me just send it out. Okay, so just to clarify again, just do a summary. So what is happening? Show me again, Spirit. What is happening here? Trump is in. He is pushing things, shaking, thinking, and has the earpiece of Putin telling him what needs to be done. He does it, and then I see it invites his own demise as he does it. So does it make sense? I know it's awful really when you read all of those things that are happening, but they are acting as from desperation, and it will not last is literally what I'm getting. Okay, but then I'll get it. So guys, I'll get into the research in a little bit, probably later this evening, but let me just go publish it because that way we'll have something. Okay, we'll have something here. All right, so I will talk to you very soon. Bye.